So with college football 26 being right around the corner, releasing on July 10th for the early release, we're going to be talking about everything that has been confirmed by EA Sports themselves, the presentations, the visuals, the gameplay deep dives, the Dynasty deep dives. We're going to be talking about all that simplified in today's video, man. We're going to be reading what I found interesting and important from the blogs that they released on their website, and I will be having those blogs in the description. So we're going to be talking about trophy rooms, new mascots, Dynasty, Teambuilder, recruiting, scouting, transfer portal. We're going to be talking about all that in today's video. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss any videos when we drop them on the channel. And since you're already here, drop a like. Let's get into the video. Dynamic time of day, a game changer. So in-game lighting is a key part of making visual stunning games. We made major improvements in this area for college football 26. Our improved lighting system boosts the realism of every scene, from the pregame warm-ups to the post-game celebration. One of the most requested features last year was dynamic time of day. Now as you're playing the game, you'll notice a change in lighting from quarter to quarter. So that's pretty interesting, man. So as you can see by this screenshot, looking at Oklahoma Stadium, man, you can see the shadows on the field. You can see that the sun is actually going down. So that's a pretty good feature to add, realism to the game. So I'm glad they add that, but they talk about it right here. So regional time of day, a 6 p.m. kickoff in Chestnut Hill will look different from a 6 p.m. kickoff in Austin. Seasonal time of day, games in November will get darker sooner because, that's a different time of daylight saving, adding a realism tied to the time of year. For example, a game that starts at 3:30 p.m. in Happy Valley in September will have the sun up at 5 p.m., but a game in November, the sun will be down as the game is ending. Bringing pageantry to life, so they included light shows as you saw in the trailer. I believe it was the first trailer that they dropped. They showed you the lighting and the drone shows, but this screenshot here at Tennessee is absolutely stunning. This was actually one of the first screenshots they dropped. One of the standout features of college football 26 is the use of light and drone shows in the pregame experience. These visual displays are inspired by reality and tailored to each team, adding realism, I'm not even going to try to say that, and excitement to the game. So with the light shows, teams like Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Nebraska, South Carolina, and a couple more teams had their light shows. For an example, with Alabama, the stadium lights up red, creating a bold visual that matches the Crimson Tide strength. Tennessee, the light up T. North Carolina with the spotlights moving across the field. Now this was something I found pretty interesting right here. So new runouts tailoring to the pregame experience. So this year we've upgraded runouts, introducing a tier system that adapts to the game's context and reflects each program's individuality. Epic runouts, primetime pageantry. So these are reserved for special night games across iconic locations. Epic runouts aim to create the best primetime experience. These sequels include light and drone shows drawing from many real-world references. The focus is to immerse players in thrilling atmospheres of major matchups with the lights dimmed, phones out. Oh man, South Carolina Stadium was one that they displayed here in this video. Traditional standard runouts, tradition and atmosphere are what we all know and love. Team runout build on the foundation of last year's sequences, incorporating more traditions and new mascots. So basically the ones that we already see in college football 25 with a little, twist to it. These sequences celebrate each program's unique rituals, bringing the spectacle of college football to life. And these highlights include Ohio and Utah motorcycles lead the run out. South Carolina, the iconic Cockaboose arrive.
What?
Pause on that name. Oklahoma Sooner, the Cherries wagon rides onto the field. Quick run out, streamlined for speed. These sequences are shorter versions of the standard run out, offering a quick experience without losing the essence of college football. Quick run outs are the default for road to college football playoffs, catering to the ranked players who prefer efficiency, but they also can appear in Dynasty mode for unranked CPU opponents at home. Road to Glory has its own run outs as well, specifically designed for the Road to Glory experience, offering a more personal view where you are actually in the run out from the tunnel. So you're actually a part of this run out. The sequences uses a player controlled camera that gives you the perspective of your athlete. So that's first person. Use the right stick to look around in the tunnel and up at the fireworks blasting off along the top of the press box as you hear 80 to 100,000 fans screaming for you. Pageantry and mascots celebrating tradition. College football is rich in tradition, and we've worked hard to capture the pageantry that makes the sport special. It's a huge differentiator from Sundays, from the marching bands to the mascots. Our team's attention to detail sign shines through in every aspect of the game, from how mascots interact with the crowd to soundtrack of marching bands. And we'll talk about marching bands later in this article. Pre-game runouts and pageantry. These celebrate unique traditions and energy of each school. College football is not just about the game, it's also about the moments leading up to kickoff. That is absolutely right. The rituals, the unique fans, and the athletic atmospheres that make every matchup special. So talking about bands, so band formations. Also keep an eye out for iconic pre-game band formations across teams such as Illinois, Appalachian State, Minnesota, Penn State, Louisiana, Lafayette, and many more. So another thing they added is new mascots. Some of the mascots that they added to the game: Utah, Iowa, Arkansas, Duke, Kansas, Kansas State, Mississippi State, Boise State, Boston College, and many more. Touchdown and turnover traditions celebrating the big moments. So Texas and Arizona, turnover swords. Both teams have introduced turnover swords, adding distinct flair to their celebrations. Akron turnover tire, that's what you saw in the first trailer. Georgia savage pads, as you see in the screenshot. Expanded player body types, man. So as you can see, our complaints on Twitter did help with something. And we can't speak for the equipment, but at least with the body types, college athletes come in many sizes. So they added a lean body type to the game. College Football 26 will actually bring a total of 5 new body types to the game, which you'll see the lean body type more common in the skill positions like cornerback, wide receiver, and quarterback as well. High school team uniforms. This year we introduced a mix of classic and modern styles for high school teams. These designs will be unique to each high school, so whether you prefer traditional designs or modern looks, these uniforms capture the essence of high school football. Players can also import custom teams from Teambuilder, so that's fire that you can edit the high school teams uniforms, or you can use your own teams as well. And some other things that they added and things that they improved on: new crowd chants has been added to the game. Of course, music, menu music. They've recorded 15,000 new lines to the commentary, 1,700 new heads scanned for the fan versatility. So they've done a lot with the presentation, man. This game, they definitely focused on the atmosphere. So I'm glad to see how much they put into this. These new features I'm very excited for it, and they're gonna be great to see in the game when it comes out on July 10th. All right, so now we're gonna get into the juicy part of the video, man. So talking about Dynasty, man, in this segment we're gonna talk about all the changes that College Football 26 brings to the Dynasty mode. And towards the end of the video, we're going to talk about my favorite part of the game, which is Teambuilder, man. So building on the foundation to start your dynasty off, they're giving you a lot of options here, but one of the biggest things is creating your coach. Of course, you have the option to use a real team with their real head coach, or you have the ability to use a team, and some of the coordinators of these teams have their real coordinators as well. Not all coordinators are in the game, but you do have the ability to start your career off as either the head coach leading your dynasty or the offense or defensive coordinator. Real life head coaches and coordinators with more than 300 authentic coaches in the game, being able to have the ability to use their authentic playbook schemes and play calling tendencies. But one of the things you'll notice here is that they're giving you more ability to customize your coach, man. So if you create your own coach, you have the ability to wear all these different options they have here, and even a sleeveless t-shirt with shorts if you're feeling up to it. A big change they made was to the coaching progression, man. So in College Football 26, the maximum coach level has been increased from 50 to 100. That's a huge addition. We've completed rebalancing the amount of XP that each coach earns to better reflect its frequency and difficulty. We've also introduced a new level progression curve designed to provide early momentum while creating a much longer trail of growth. Progression is heavily influenced by your active archetype perk. Rebalance all the archetype perks to improve an overall balance, creating more distinct trade-offs. The amount of XP from each archetype perk now scales by archetype tier. Elite archetypes, Elite Recruiter, Master Motivator, and Scheme Guru offer double the amount of XP as the 3 base archetypes. Hybrid archetypes, Talent Developer, Strategist, and Architect offer more than Elite archetypes. Program Builder and CEO can offer up to 10 times more XP than the base tier archetypes. In order to quickly and efficiently scale your coach level and power, it is imperative that you invest in higher level archetypes and then focus on activating that perk as many times as you can. But just as important, be sure that the staff that you have around you, anytime your team triggers one of your coordinator's perks you share, the XP gains as well. So make sure you pay close attention to the skill tree that your coordinators have before you hire them. Talent Developer now has the Draft Dividends perk, which awards 3,000 bonus XP whenever your players are drafted. The CEO archetype Big Game Bonus now provides 12,500 bonus XP for each college football playoff win, as opposed to only national championship wins. Coach archetypes, choosing the staff like I talked about earlier. Choosing a staff that complements or counter your strength is more important than ever. We've also introduced scaling archetype costs. Each archetype you unlock becomes incrementally more expensive, encouraging more intentional choices as your coaching journey evolves. Archetypes that are closely related to your current specialization will cost less, but the ones that require you to learn a new skill set will cost more. For an example, if you start off as a recruiter, becoming an elite recruiter will be cheap than trying to completely learn a new skill set like becoming a motivator. Coaching carousel. So you will now receive notifications on your screen whenever a coordinator accepts or declines job offers, as well as when one is posed for a new opportunity, whether they're leaving for a promotion or jumping ship unexpectedly. You'll stay informed and you'll be ready to react. So that's awesome. It gives you more control of your dynasty. It gives you more control, especially if you choose to be a head coach. So you want to have all eyes on everything that's going on around you. We've added 3 new program builder abilities that give you more control over hiring and retention processes. Forever Home, your coordinator are less likely to leave for another job. Deal Sweetener, coordinators are more likely to accept your job offer. Cream of the crop, increasing the caliber of coordinators available for you to hire. They also rebalance the job offer logic for your head coaches. So if you're doing well in your dynasty, top tier programs will now send you offers more consistently. And within the staff move screen, you can now view each coach's previous role and school and their role and destination and their reason for the job change. So one of the big things that people that love Dynasty asked for was a trophy room. So filling out your trophy room, you can access it at any time from your Dynasty hub or from the main menu and your global profile. It's not just limited to Dynasty though. Also a part of Road to Glory, Play Now, and Road to College Football Playoffs. Each Dynasty that you create has its own dedicated trophy room tied to your coach, tracking every trophy that you've earned. You can also select any trophy to view more detailed information, including the trophy's history and significance in college football. In total, they added more than 160 Rivalry Bowl trophies and individual award trophies to collect. We've added 14 authentic awards, including the Maxwell and Walter Camp Award. Additionally, they've also rebalanced how defensive stats and particular tackles and tackles for loss and sacks are evaluated in our award logic for defensive trophy awards. Transfer portal is one of the biggest things that has changed in real life and on College Football 26. So you can now expect to see a consistent pool of around 2,000 players entering the transfer portal. They've also changed how they assign star ratings to transfer prospects. In 25, they were assigned ratings based on their overall, but now star rating is more heavily influenced by a player's position and class year. So for an example, an 85 overall freshman quarterback will be scored higher than an 85 overall senior. And long story short, that just meaning that the 85 overall freshman has more upside because he's younger and he has more time to develop and change throughout the season. Managing player expectations is just as important as recruiting new talent. So in today's game, players want more playing time, more exposure, and more alignment with their goals. And sometimes those expectations change over time. So here we talk about deal breakers. So in College Football 26, every player now has a deal breaker, giving each one a clearly defined expectation and chances to enter the transfer portal if that expectation is not met. Additionally, conference prestige has been added to deal breaker, reflecting the mindset of players who value competing in the best conferences against the toughest competition. They've also refined playing time. Deal breaker works to better reflect the reality of roster management. Even if playing time isn't a player's official deal breaker, it can still be a deciding factor in whether or not they stay. This is especially true for former 5-star recruits, highly rated backups, and most notably quarterbacks. This helps preventing stockpiling talent in a way that doesn't reflect real-world behavior and makes roster management feel more dynamic and authentic. With these evolving expectations, dynamic deal breakers, a system that actively reflects a player's evolving and changing expectations over time. As a player becomes more talented and productive, the expectations grow alongside. A school that once felt like a great fit might suddenly feel mid, and it's the big fish in a small pond effect. The better the player, the higher the expectations. But you can counteract that with the lower the bar ability and the strategist archetype. This lowers the grade threshold required to meet a player's deal breaker up to a maximum of full letter grade. You can also purchase the family atmosphere ability within the master motivator archetype, which makes players less likely to transfer if their deal breaker has been broken. Gift of Gab is another one. It's an additional persuasion attempt. Roster retainer increases the chance of persuading a player to stay. And full refund, you get an additional persuasion attempt if one of your attempts is successful. But don't fret, man. You can also customize your transfer portal customization. It gives you full control in your dynasty settings, which includes max transfers per team, adjust how many players can transfer from a single team from 0 to 30. Setting this to 0 disables the portal entirely for a traditional experience. Transfer probability, scale how likely players on user-controlled teams are able to transfer if their deal breaker is violated. And transfer probability for CPU teams, allowing you to align or differentiate how the AI handles player retention as well. They also made changes to Pro Potential, so now Pro Potential is based on a school historical draft results over the past 4 seasons. A change that they made to recruiting that I actually like is location-based recruiting. So the higher recruits' proximity to home grade to your school, the cheaper it will be to bring them in for a visit. And the cost of that can range from 10 hours up to 40 hours, depending on how far that player is from the location of your Dynasty team. Teambuilder teams as well. But to help maximize your visits, the CEO archetype now includes a new ability called the More the Merrier. That ability doubles the number of players who can visit your campus in a single week, including increasing the cap from 4 to 8 total visitors. And if you're running a staff with a coordinator whose active archetype is Strategist, the benefits can even stack further. Strategist perk grants bonus XP for every recruit who visits during a win. So if you're hosting a full slate of 8 visitors, you can have the potential to significantly boost each coach's XP across the board. So let's talk about the Strategist, man. So now, if you possess the Mind Reader for a recruit's position group, you'll be able to reveal their dev trait directly through Scout, giving you a critical head start in identifying high potential prospects early in the cycle. That is awesome. The Strategist looking nice. At least to have one on your staff. Recruiting battles. So now, when one of the schools reach a commitment threshold and another is right behind them, a recruitment battle begins. So the recruit won't commit right away, but instead they will set a new higher commit threshold, giving both schools a shorter window to make that one final push. At that point, it becomes a race. Whichever school reaches the new commitment threshold first secures the commitment. But one of the important things that they made here to College Football 26 that didn't seem to be that effective in College Football 25, to sway or not to sway. So this year, when you select the sway action, you'll now see the probability of success before making your move, giving you more clarity around when and how to take your shot. Your chance to success increase based on how much motivational overlap exists between the pitch you're trying to sway a recruit toward and their existing ideal pitch. So for an example, if the 2 pitches share 2 motivations, your odds are much higher than if they only share 1, and that difference is now clearly reflected in the UI. So once a sway is successful, you'll see visual indicators both in the left recruiting board list and next to the specific motivations the recruit now cares about. These new markers make it easy to identify recruits you have successfully swayed. And just another quality of life improvement, you'll notice that the team needs that you need during the recruitment process has now been brought front and center. They pinned it to the top of the screen, so you'll see it at all times. Also on the recruiting board, you'll see arrows. These arrows indicate whether you've moved up or down on that recruit's top school list compared to the previous week. This makes it easier to identify which recruits are trending in your favor and which ones may require a shift in strategy or signal that something in the recruitment dynamic has changed week over week. Once a recruit has entered the pick stage and narrowed their top 5 school list, a red dot will appear during the first week to let you know that new recruiting actions are available. Additionally, the recruiting stage indicator on the left hand list will become highlighted, making it easier to spot which players are close to committing and may require more focus and attention to secure their commitment. And speaking of more attention, you can now favor recruits. You'll double tap triangle/Y, and that gives you the ability to favor that recruit as a bookmark, giving you a filter to find your favorite recruits so you can get them before your rival beats you to the finish line. And also within the prospect list, you can now filter them by maximum star rating, minimum pipeline level, and the recruiting stage. Player progressing. So a player's development trait also plays a bigger role in the offseason progression. While there's still variability in how much a player develops during the offseason, players with impact, star, and elite development traits now have a higher minimum amount they will progress. This increases the likelihood that players with a better development trait will now progress more than players with a normal trait. Players will now gain weight during the offseason as well. The amount they gain is influenced by their player position and year in school. That simulates real difference in physical maturity between a freshman and a senior. So the better the athletic facility, the better they'll progress. Player performance during the season now plays a huge role in their long-term potential. If a player absolutely cooks during the season, that means that there's a higher probability that that player could leave your program for a bigger and better opportunity. So if you're starting your dynasty off with a lower tier program, that's going to be something that you're going to want to keep in mind. They also can upgrade their development traits during the offseason too. Performance is determined by their season stat line relative to their position. Upgrading a development trait is not guaranteed, but the better a player's current trait is, the harder it is to move up. You can now increase the odds of players upgrading their development trait by purchasing the Gains Getter ability within the CEO archetype. If a player does upgrade their development trait, you'll receive a notification, and it will also be highlighted in the training results screen. You can now see exactly how much each attribute increases during the off season with the training results. Additionally, the player module on the right hand side displays their weight gain and abilities that upgraded, and if their development trait upgraded as well. But if you don't want the CPU handling that in your dynasty, you also have the ability to manually progress your players. You can see how many skill points each player has accumulated in the player module, just like Road to Glory. Anywhere a player is shown in a spreadsheet or within their player card, to manually progress a player, just access their player card within the player card. You can spend their skill points, the purchase ratings, and physical abilities. Positional changes has been changed as well in College Football 26. So now when a player changes positions, they will only retain abilities that are shared between their previous archetype and the new one. Their skill group caps are also adjusted based on how closely the new position relates to their original one. For example, shifting a running back to wide receiver results in a smaller drop in development ceiling than moving that same player to an offensive tackle, which makes complete sense. But something that we talked about before is the wear and tear changes that they made to College Football 26, but we'll dive deeper into it here. So every player now has a season and career health pool that determines how much wear and tear damage they can recover in a single season. And don't forget, you can adjust the settings of this in your dynasty so you can have complete control of how the wear and tear works from position to position. You know, each time a player recovers wear and tear damage, it draws from these pools. Once the season health pool is depleted, that player can no longer recover wear and tear damage until that offseason when they are fully recovered. But at the end of each season, that pool replenishes. But however, the size of the pool is determined by how full it was at the end of the season. For an example, a player who finishes the season with their health pool nearly empty will begin next year with a significantly smaller season health pool. You will be able to see the impacts of a player's season health on their career health bar over the course of the season. In effect, you are now having to manage a player's career clock. How heavily a player is used from year to year will significantly impact their longevity, adding a new layer of decision making and wear and tear managed to week and season to season. But remember guys, the toughness attribute has been changed, so how tough a player is also determines on how well they recover as well. So keep that in mind when recruiting players, to pay attention to that toughness rate. They also introduced a college football history tab to the Dynasty. It's accessible in the stats and record tab. It gives you the opportunity to see things like Yale winning its first national championship in 1869 to every moment created across your 30-year dynasty, which features national championships going back to 1869, including split national champions, conference champions dating back to 1896. For each national and conference champion, you will be able to see the year they won the championship, their top 25 rankings, season record, and the name of the coach that won that championship. And you'll also be able to see those same stats for the losing team as well. 21 individual player and coach award winners, for example, historic Heisman Trophy winners, Bear Bryant Coach of the Year winners as well. So these are the cool features that you can see in the history tab. Now what we have here are some new positions and archetypes that they added to the game. So defensive ends are now edge rushers, outside linebackers are labeled as Sam or Will or Mike, replacing middle linebacker. Additional depth chart changes include long snapper and gadget players for trick play specialists, nose tackles as well, specifically used in 3 to 4 fronts. They added new archetypes as well: speedster, route artist, physical route runner, elusive route runner, gritty possession receiver, gadget receiver, and contested specialist. Formation subs is one of my favorite things they added to this game overall. You'll be allowed to set up to 50 formation subs per team. Subs will persist season to season unless that player leaves the team or you change them. If you switch playbooks, any formation shared between those playbooks, those players will retain their assigned subs. So within setting up your schedule for the Dynasty mode, they're giving you the ability to lock annual matchups regardless of divisional alignment. And if I believe they give you up to 2 or 3. So pretty much if you have a team in your Dynasty that you want to play, you can lock that opponent, and no matter what the schedule generates, the opponent will remain on your schedule year to year. So quality of life improvements that they add at the Dynasty mode, quick access to player info. Anytime a player appears in a spreadsheet, you can now press triangle or Y to open their player card, R3 or RS to view their stats and award history. Player stats and attributes everywhere. Now, anywhere a player appears in a spreadsheet, you will be able to see their season stats on the player module, development traits and player module. In addition to the 2 new player module panels, you can now view a player's dev trait and the ability subs panel. Quick access to team schedules within the conference standings and top 25 poll screens. You can now press triangle or Y on a team, view their full schedule, and quickly compare resumes. In the Dynasty Hub, we've added a tab called Members. The Members tab lets you see every user in your online Dynasty, every coach character in your offline Dynasty. Advanced week confirmation is something that's really important to me. A confirmation pop-up will now appear when you go to advance to the next week, helping prevent any accidental clicks that could cost you a national championship. Red shirt updates. Players can now play in postseason games without them counting against their red shirt eligibility. Instead, it will only alter the position that player was in the depth chart for. Scouting ability info. If you like to know more about what an ability is when scouting a player, you can highlight the ability on the right side panel and it will display a tooltip informing you what that ability does. Crossplay in College Football 26 now supports crossplay across the Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and you can run a 32-person online Dynasty with friends, regardless of the platform. Within the Members tab, you'll be able to see each player's system that they play on. Now, one of my favorite parts of the game, we're going to talk about Teambuilder. So our team has been hard at work polishing and improving the overall site's performance. It now has a completely new look. Now, based off the screenshot, I see just some things that they changed. So I wouldn't say a completely new look, but more importantly, it runs 2 times faster, and overall, render performance is greatly improved. So Teambuilder will now work on a wider array of devices and lower end machines. So what I'm hoping is that means that you won't have to have an actual computer or laptop to be on Teambuilder. You hopefully will have the ability to even use it on your phone as well. One of my favorite features is that you now have an upload limit of 5 megabytes per team, which means you can upload as many custom layers, textures as you want, because you are not limited to just 10 custom images per team, increasing your creative power. That is amazing. And you can import your teams from College Football 25 from the Teambuilder. Just press the import button in the top right corner, which will open a drop down asking you which title you would like to import from. After selecting College Football 25, you'll see a list of every team you've created, and you'll be able to upload them to College Football 26. So whether you're a powerhouse, a pro factory, or a cupcake, trying to establish yourself there as a foundation that fits your vision. So once you pick a template, you'll see your projected team prestige and my school grade. So these grades will show up as exact values, while others appear as ranges, and that's by design. Several elements of your team setup can influence how the grades shake out. For example, your stadium atmosphere grade will adjust based on the size of the stadium that you select. And they've given you 3 generic stadiums and 1 high school stadium. So they did add that to the game. Those stadiums range from small to large, and I believe the large stadium has a capacity of 66,000 fans that it can hold. Championship contender grade depends on which team you were placed in Dynasty mode. So it doesn't sound like you'll be able to just add the Teambuilder team to Dynasty. It does sound like you still will have to replace a team, so that does suck since you inherit their preseason rankings, but that makes sense right there. So it's just like how it was last year. Other attributes like coach stability, coach prestige, and conference prestige won't come from your template at all. Instead, they'll reflect your coach setup when you start your Dynasty and where you choose to place your team in custom conferences. They've enhanced the roster editing in Teambuilder. You'll be able to see your team's overall offensive and defensive ratings at all times at the top of the website. You'll be able to see their overall rating, so you'll always know the impact of each edit that you do to your players. You also, when editing your players, you can change bio and appearance, meaning you can change their first and last names, previous red shirt, meaning has the player already used their red shirt year, their high school star rating, and their dev rating. You also can change the player's archetype, development trait, meaning how fast a player develops over time, player's potential, giving them low, medium, or high. So that will set the player's skill group caps to determine a player's ceiling, or how high they can progress a given attribute. The cap is scaled based on potential and class year, so a freshman with high potential will have more room to grow than a junior. Physical abilities, you can choose their bronze, silver, gold, or platinum. Each tier has a required attribute rating in order to qualify for it. You can change their mental abilities. Their availability is determined by the player's position. You also have control of your pipeline, so within the program tab, you can fully customize your pipelines, including where your team has recruiting influence and how strong that influence is. You also have control of the rivals of your program program as well. Within the program tab, you can now create up to 5 rivalries for your team. For each rival, fill out the historic information such as the team's name, the first year that y'all played, all-time series record, who won the last match, and the score of the last game. And all that information will carry with you into your Dynasty mode. So that's the team builder information, the Dynasty. We talked about recruiting, transfer portal, and all, man. So by the time I recorded this video, I'm pretty sure they probably would have dropped a deep dive on Road to Glory. So that's a video that you guys will be interested in. Be sure to hit that like button, and I'll make a video talking about that. Before we end this video, gracing the screen, as you can see, are the top 10 offenses and also the top 10 defenses in college football 26. So as you can see, they have a lot of love for Alabama. At the same time, I haven't been keeping up with recruiting for Alabama, but those are your top 10 offenses and top 10 defenses for college football 26. Right here, we got the top 25 toughest places to play. So this is a very controversial thing for fans, man. But there's some questionable things here they got in these top 10s and top 25. So y'all let me know how y'all feel about that in the comment section. I'd love to know y'all opinion on those top 10s and top 25. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and hit that bell so you don't miss any more videos on the channel. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
Yeah, sit back, slide in. Shawty wanna come and ride in the whip. Ain't fugazi on shipping legit. Fast films get me right with the pace. Okay, H on driving up other ways. City lights out of up and engaged. Pushing 90 but she still feeling safe for me. Black shades when I stalk through the lanes. Okay,